In near enough the middle of England, just north of Birmingham, lies Fradley Junction. Here two of the country's historic canals meet, the Coventry Canal ending where it joins the Trent and Mersey Canal in a T-shaped junction. Fradley was first recorded in the 12th century as Frodley or Frod's Lee, but the area gained importance in the late 1700s, as first the Trent and Mersey Canal was built and then the Coventry, the two connecting in 1789. The canals are entirely man-made, dug out by hand to link the towns and cities of the Industrial Revolution in the mid-1700s to mid-1800s. But unlike rivers, which start up high and just run downwards with a continuous flow of water, the canals needed to go up and downhill in order to link those towns and cities. Now, in order to make that work without all the water just running out, you need locks. Locks are essentially a big hole, which can either be filled or emptied of water, the water being kept in or held out by substantial wooden gates at each end. Water can be let into or out of the lock with sluices called paddles, operated usually by hand by a mechanical crank and gear mechanism. With a paddle raised, the sluice is open and water can flow. With the canal at one end of the lock higher than at the other, a process of opening and closing the gates and paddles in the right sequence enables boats to be lifted or lowered and thus make their way up and down hill. Here, with the lock empty and the lower gates open, a boat is entering to go uphill. The boater shuts the gates behind them and closes the lower paddles. And the top paddles are open to let water in. After a few minutes, the water in the lock is almost at the top, with the boat having risen several feet. The top gate can then be opened, and the boat continues its journey. Going down is the same, but in reverse. With 5 locks in quick succession at Fradley, making progress takes time and effort. For many boaters, operating the locks isn't a chore or a drudge, it's part of the joy of narrowboating. However, there are many occasions when having an extra pair of hands at the locks can be a very good idea. And that's where these folk come in. Lock volunteers or volley lockies, people who donate their time to helping boaters through the locks.
We operate from the beginning of the season, which we class as the week before Easter, through until the end of October. It can be a very, very busy junction with all the locks here, and what we're here for is to help and assist boaters through as much as possible and advise them and welcome them to the area.
They're much more of a meter and greeter person at the canal side, so any members of the public that are walking through, we would say hello to them. Any boaters coming through, we're chatting away to them and then assisting them through the lock.
Organised by the Canal and River Trust, a charity which maintains and runs many of the inland waterways in England and Wales, the volunteers are a crucial part of keeping the hundreds of miles of canal working smoothly. It's not compulsory to have the lockie operate everything for you. When your boat's in the lock, you're in charge. But there are many people for whom the lockies are a blessing.
I know it's strange, but you get people, they've just had heart attacks, they've got wooden legs. We get all sorts of people with different problems, and they say, oh, I can't do the locks, I'm not very good. And we say, in fact, if you want to stop on the boat, I'll do it for you. I'm quite prepared to be your servant for today.
It's early in April and the lockies are out in force ahead of the new boating season. There's much to be done around the locks, both tidying up the area so it looks nice and doing routine checks and maintenance on the ancient infrastructure.
the locks need to be maintained, don't they? There's regulars that maintain the locks properly, but we are here to cut back, paint, grease, and keep the locks in good order for all the boaters.
The lock maintenance is pre-season, which includes oiling and greasing all the mechanisms for the locks, grass cutting, edging, and as you have seen, painting the bridge coping stones, and ensuring everything is safe as well, because whilst we're doing all this, we're checking in case there's anything that needs sort of more maintenance from the paid staff.
Part of our pre-season work is to make the place look tidy. It's difficult now for the Canal and River Trust because they've got so much on, but as a group of volunteers we like to make it look nice, and so we're here today cutting the grass, painting the walls, tighten the place up a bit.
At Middle Lock, the third one in the flight, new recruit to the volunteers, Liz Parry, hears on the walkie-talkie that a narrowboat is heading her way. With the lock part full of water and the boat needing to go up, she first needs to let that water out by opening the lower paddles. Then both lower gates can be pushed open. Without a lock keeper to do this, someone on the boat would have to get off and go ahead to set the lock ready. And if the boater was single-handed, they'd have to tie the boat up just below the lock, set it, get back aboard, then drive the boat in and operate the gear themselves. No wonder that in a long flight of locks, the sight of volley lockies is so welcome, though often it can be a team effort between boaters and lockie. Liz, who recently finished her training, says the Canal and River Trust can show anyone how to do the job.
I think they're equipped to train everybody, from people who have never ever been at a lock all the way through to people who've got a certain amount of experience. So some of it was about just having a particular briefing about the way the Canal and River Trust would like things to be done. So for example, I've got a life jacket which I don't normally have when I'm out on my own boat, and there's a particular technique that they ask you to use for filling the locks, and then there was watching somebody else do it and then doing it while they watched you, and there is an assessment as well, so my competence is verified. Okay.
A quick check that the chap on the back of the boat is ready, and Liz winds the paddle for about half its travel, so as to moderate the initial inrush of water to the lock. Once the lock is part full, the paddles are raised fully, and the water will slowly rise to the same level as the canal outside. Then Liz can push open the top gate and the boat can carry on. The man at the helm offering a cheery thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
All the boaters I spoke to are grateful for the help.
On a day like today, it's absolutely fantastic because the crosswind is killing me on the boat. And in general, they do a very good job. Well, I appreciate all the help we can get, you know. Do a good job.
Liz says it's odd that there aren't more female lockies.
When you're out on the canal on a holiday or something like that, generally it is the women that are doing the locks and the blokes are at the back steering the boat through. However, bizarrely, when you come to volunteering, it is largely men. But there's absolutely no reason why it can't be women, and I would absolutely encourage more women to do it.
And if, male or female, you're worried about the physical exertion, there are tools to help, like this long-handled ratcheted windlass which makes the paddles easier. Lockie or boater, one thing that must be done when leaving a lock is to make sure all the sluice paddles are down, else the water will just drain away, leaving the canal dry. Even with that done, there is leakage, as the locks, being technology from the 1700s, are not terribly watertight in the first place. This lock was full just a few minutes earlier, but leaks from the lower gate mean the level's already down by a foot or so. As each lock holds thousands of gallons of water, it's considered good practice to try, when possible, to have boats going each way in turn, so as to reduce how often locks are emptied without a boat in them.
Some people, unfortunately, don't obey the canal rules where one in, one out. Some people, if they're waiting for a lock to empty, they get quite impatient and they want their turn to be first. So sometimes we have to say, you just wait down there, I've got a boat coming in. You know, it's only 5 minutes, but you do find, of course, some are impatient. And everybody says you shouldn't be impatient on the canal. Do you be surprised how many people that don't understand that the first boat that comes into the Loxton and the next boat, and sort of a queuing system? I have experienced myself a little bit of arguing of who should be next into the lock. So you could say I'm a bit of a policeman as well as a volunteer lockkeeper.
Given the exertion, the responsibility, and the fact there's no pay, you might be wondering why anyone would volunteer. Well, several reasons.
When I moved to this area 8 years ago, I thought this would be good. It would be really good out in the fresh air, meeting people, and I've always had an interest in sort of helping people throughout my working life, and coupled with the interest in the waterways has, made it happen for me.
I'm in beautiful countryside. The weather is normally nice. The team that I work with, so although I'm on this lock on my own, we're all joined up by radio, and they're a lovely bunch. We have a certain amount of banter, and you get to chat to the people coming through on the boats. What's not to like?
Most of the people that are here are retired, so they want to get out and be with people. I mean, I worked in a location where I was with a lot of people every day, and when I retired, I wanted to continue to be around people I could socialise with, or be sociable with is the answer. So yeah, there's a great camaraderie and there's an awful lot of leg pull, and most of it's aimed at me, unfortunately.
One aspect of the role that perplexes some, mainly overseas visitors, is whether to tip the lockies, and in cash terms, the answer is a definite no.
Whenever anybody tries to tip us in a monetary way, we turn it down straight away and make a suggestion to them that they could make a donation to the trust.
We get offers of a few sweets and a few bacon sandwich. I had not so long ago. Somebody offered me a bacon sandwich when they were coming through the locks.
We sometimes have a sign, and we do accept cake.
Cake and bacon aside, there can be other benefits too.
One of the things I've really enjoyed is joining the Canal and River Trust at a different level. So as a boat owner, we have a licence with them, and that's about the extent of our interaction. But since becoming a volunteer, there's quite a good support network around. We've got a team leader who's in touch with us about what's going on, and through the lockdown they've been running a series of sort of briefing sessions, I suppose, where they'd got other people from the Canal and River Trust to talk about their jobs. So I've got a much better insight into the sort of work that they do and the variety of work. So actually it feels a bit like joining a family.
It's not just here at Fradley that there are volunteer lock keepers, of course. There are other similar groups dotted all around the 2,000 or so miles of the canal network. Places like Hill Morton, the busiest locks in the country, or Foxton, where there are 10 locks in quick succession arranged as 2 staircases of 5, where each lock tumbles directly into the next one. Essentially anywhere where it gets very busy, or where it would be a lot of hard graft for you to do it yourself, you'll find volunteer lock keepers. Final words then from the lockies about why they think you might enjoy signing up for the job.
I'd always encourage other people to give it a go. I do recognise it's not going to be for everybody, but I think that it's the sort of thing that just because you're outside and we spend so much time inside, especially over this last year, that makes a lovely change.
I would say go for it. It's something that makes a huge difference to people's lives. As myself, it's kept me fit for the last 8 years, or helped to keep me fit. A lot of the volunteers here really enjoy it, and when it comes to the winter and they not able to get out as much as they can. They really miss it.
Probably 90% of us are retired. So this is a day out for the lads. You know, have a bit of banter, a bit of camaraderie, and it's a good, nice day out, nice atmosphere, and everybody gets on.
Information about how to become a volunteer lockkeeper is on the Canal and River Trust's website. I've left a link to it in the video description below. Thanks for watching. Cheerio.